Greetings, Earthlings. Blue Microphones is now officially dead, and from the ashes of that corpse has risen this. The Yeti GX. A USB supercardioid dynamic microphone with RGB lighting. This costs $150. I bought this microphone with my own money, which I don't regret at all. I will have affiliate links in the description down below. All of my recording settings will be listed in the description as well as in the doobly-doo. And now let us talk about what comes in the box. What a surprise. You are going to get the microphone, which has an arm already attached. You'll get a desktop stand, a 1/4 inch to 3/8 or 5/8 inch microphone stand adapter, a 2-meter USB-C to USB-A cable, and a little bit of regulatory information, as well as a Streamlabs Ultra trial key thing. Then as far as the build quality, it feels fine, but it's not amazing. It has an all-plastic body, you have a plastic knob, a plastic arm which has 1/4 inch threading on the bottom, a plastic desktop stand. Under the foam, you do get a firm metal mesh grill with no give to it though. On the top of the mic, you'll find a scroll wheel which feels like it's from a mouse, and there is an LED light to indicate a couple of things which I'll have up on the screen, and you also have a physical mute button. On the rear of the microphone, you have a USB-C port, and make of it what you will, but they talk about this using recycled plastic and being carbon neutral, and whether you care or not, this device is made in China. As far as the specs, I will have the limited information that I could find up on the screen, as well as listed in the description in case you want to pause and get a closer look. Now I am moving the Yeti GX to 90 degrees so you can hear the off-axis rejection and coloration, which I can't hear. Continuing around to 180 degrees, this is the rear of the mic. Continuing around to the second 90-degree angle, here we are, and then rotating and ending at the front of the microphone. Now let's see how this thing handles plosives. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now I am right on top of the microphone to exaggerate the proximity effect, and here's how it sounds. Now I'm about 3 inches off with the mic pointed at the corner of my mouth, and here's how it sounds. Now I'm about 6 inches off of the microphone, about 1 foot away from the mic, about 2 feet away from the microphone, and about 4 feet away from the Logitech Yeti GX. Now I am typing on a keyboard with Gateron blue switches to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard it picks up. And for the gaming folk, here I am clickety-clacking away on the sad W and spacebar keys. Now here is how the microphone sounds about 3 inches away from my mouth in a relatively well-treated room. And now here is how the Yeti GX sounds about 3 inches away from my mouth in a completely untreated and extremely dark room. Next, I want to see how effective the microphone is at rejecting shocks, so I'll start by tapping on my desk to see how much of that noise it rejects. And then I will do the dreaded boom arm test. I'm also incredibly annoying, so I am going to tap on the body of the microphone to see if there are any kind of resonant frequencies. Next, I want to see if there is any kind of audible noise when we engage or disengage the mute button. Now I want to see how the provided foam windscreen impacts the tone of the recording, so here is how the microphone sounds about 3 inches away from my mouth with the provided foam windscreen installed. Now I have removed the provided foam clown nose windscreen. I am at the exact same distance, exact same gain setting, and here's how it sounds. And again, here is another sample at the same distance with the windscreen installed. And here is your second example sample demo of the microphone without the provided foam windscreen. Did you hear any kind of difference? Let me know in the comments down below. Boop, boop. Now I have the Yeti GX on the provided desktop stand. I will place this directly in front of me. I increased my gain to 70%, and now the microphone is about 9 to 12 inches away from my mouth. If I bump the desk, here is how much of that noise it picks up. And then if I type on a clicky keyboard, here is how much that picks up compared to my voice. Did it just crack? Next, I want to include a quick demo of the Smart Audio Lock feature. This is something that should prevent you from clipping and overdriving and distorting the signal. Currently, I have my input gain set at 60, and if I get loud, I distort, I sound terrible. This does not sound good. But now I have engaged the Smart Audio Lock, and now if I get loud, it should clamp down, and we should not clip, and we should not distort. Let me shut that off. Again, if I get excited, distorts, terrible. With the Smart Audio Lock engaged, now if I get loud, nope, no distortion. Very good. Now, like I always do, I'm going to do a quick spoken word comparison between the microphone that we're reviewing and a couple of other microphones that are available so we can hear how it stacks up against the competition and you don't just hear this microphone in an isolated vacuum. Starting on the Yeti GX, I am 3 inches off. My input level is set at 49, and here's how it sounds. Starting on the Samson Q2u, I am 3 inches off. My input level is set at about 37%, 16-bit, 48 kilohertz. This costs around $70. It's really gone up in price recently, but here is how this sounds compared to the Blue Yeti GX. Let's go back and do some more comparisons. Back on the Yeti GX for a palate cleanser, nothing has changed, and here's how it sounds. Let's hear another microphone. Now I am on the Blue Yeti X, or the Logi Yeti X, or the Logitech Gaming Yeti X, I don't know. Cardioid polar pattern, 3 inches off, level at 16, 48 kilohertz, 32-bit float, yeah right. But here's how this sounds. It costs about $140 to $170, and there you go. Let's go back to the GX and do some more. Back on the Yeti GX, I just want to be clear, none of the Blue Voice software or the Smart Audio Lock is engaged. This is just raw audio, but nothing has changed. Let's go to another mic. Now I am on the Elgato Wave 3. I am 3 inches off. My input level is set at 8.3% or 11.5 dB, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This goes for about $150. All of the processing in the Wavelength software is disengaged, and here is how this compares to a microphone that costs the same amount. Let's go back and do some more. All right, we are back on the Logi Yeti Blue X. I don't think I got that right, but here's how it sounds. Let's hear another microphone. Now I am on the Audio Technica AT2040 USB, 3 inches off with my input level set at 37%, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This doesn't have any DSP processing. This costs about $150. And here's how this compares to the Yeti GX. Let's do some more. I believe we are over the hump. This is the Yeti GX again. Here's how it sounds. Let it clear out your ears. Let's hear some more. Now I am on the Rode Podmic USB, 3 inches off. Input gain set at 55 dB, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. No processing is engaged. This goes for about $200, so slightly more than the GX. And here is how it compares. So let's go ahead and jump back to the GX and do 2 more comparisons, I think. Okay, I am back on the Yeti GX again. Nothing has changed. 3 inches, level at 49, no audio lock, no Blue Voice. Here is how it sounds. Let's go to the penultimate microphone. Now I am on the Shure MV7. I am 3 inches off of this. My input level is set at about 63%, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This microphone is $100 more, sitting around $250. And here is, all of the processing is shut off. This is just raw audio. And here is how this sounds compared to the Logi Yeti GX. I'm going to get this right one day. And here is your final palette cleanser on the Blue Yeti Logitech GX. And yep, here's how it sounds. Why did they kill blue mics? How stupid. Let's go to the last microphone. And finally, we are on the Neumann. Hello, Neumann U87 Ai. Cardioid polar pattern, no pad, no filter, 3 inches off. The gain on the 18i20 is set at 11 o'clock, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This costs about $3,700, so this is absolutely a fair comparison. I am doing this so you can determine if you should buy the GX or the U87. That's why I'm doing it. This is not a control. Now we're going to do a very quick and top-level walkthrough of the Logitech G Hub software, but I will have a full walkthrough over on Podcastage too. At the top of this screen, you're able to record a sample. Hey, this is a sample. Listen to this and make adjustments so you can hear the adjustments. There's a really weird quirk with this, though, where it only plays out of one speaker. I don't know how to resolve that. Beneath this, you have the ability to adjust the microphone's gain. Currently, I am at 55. I will keep talking and lower this. You won't notice any change in the level until you let go of your mouse. Now that new gain level is set, I'm going to set this back up to 55 where we were. Then we have Smart Audio Lock, which I already demoed. Those are all of the basic settings. Now, if I click on Enable Blue Voice in the left-hand panel, this enables all of the more complex settings. I'm going to change my gain back to 55 dB. We have a variable high pass filter, which can go from 20 Hz up to 400 Hz. We have a 3-band EQ, and in this, you are able to adjust the frequency that the band is at, as well as the width of that frequency band, so that's really nice. I'll disengage that. If we click on Signal Cleanup, we have Noise Reduction, which is going to be more of a spectral denoise. We have an actual noise gate. We have a compressor, and this gives you a lot of functionality in terms of threshold. You have attack, release, makeup gain, pre-gain, compression ratio, and you also have a gain reduction meter, which I think is kind of useless given the fact that it is 80 decibels. Nobody's going to be compressing 80 dB. Are you wacky? Then you have a de-esser, a depopper or deplosive, and a limiter. Those are all of the settings you have. I will dive into these more on Podcastage too. Now let's try some of the presets that they have. The first one is Boom Arm Broadcaster. I now have this engaged, and this is too loud. I'm going to disengage the limiter because I think they're adding too much gain at the final stage, and here is how it's sounding. I also think the compression is likely too aggressive, so I would increase. I'm doing this from memory because I have no way of monitoring this. Thanks a lot. But I would increase the threshold to try to get a bit less gain reduction, and being that we're hitting one of these, yeah, that's probably fine. That's probably better sounding. And then the limiter, I would keep it 0 dB. Then we have the Boom Arm Natural setting. Again, I'm going to turn off the limiter because I think they're adding too much gain, and we do actually end up distorting and clipping in the digital realm. But here it is a lot less aggressive with the EQ. You still have a high pass filter. You don't have any noise reduction or gate or de-esser or deplosive. And the limiter and the compressor were engaged. On the compressor on natural, your 4-to-1 ratio. Broadcaster is 8-to-1 ratio. And there you go. Those are the presets. Then we have the effects tab, and this allows you to add effects to your voice. I'm not going to demo all of these because there are a lot, but I will have a full video testing all of them and demoing them on Podcastage too. The first one we have is
Alien. Now you hear how I sound in reality when I don't have my actual voice changer on. Now I am a wild voice. This is a wild voice.
Now we are a DJ robot. Dance, dance, come on, sucker, lick my battery. Somebody's gonna get that reference.
And here is a demon, because that was cursed.
And the last one we'll do is dream. This is a dream. None of this is real. This is a conspiracy. I am controlling you. Okay, that's the software. Oh, you also have lighting effects. Then you have lighting. Let me go ahead and just move the microphone right up for you, blocking my face. We have some presets. Here's fixed. You can just select the color that you want. We can go color cycle. This will cycle through all of them. That's color cycle. You have color wave. And finally, I want to see if all of the processing settings are stored on microphone so that you can get the processing benefits on a computer without the G-Hub software. So currently, I am recording on a computer with the G-Hub software, and here is how it's sounding. And now I have the Yeti GX connected to my MacBook Pro, which doesn't have any Logitech software installed, and here is how it's sounding. Do you hear the same effects, or does it sound raw? And for another sample, here is the microphone running through that computer with the G-Hub software again, and here's how it's sounding. And again, here is the Yeti GX running through my MacBook Pro, which, to reiterate, has no Logitech software installed, so no G-Hub, and here's how it sounds. Does it sound the same, or does it sound different? I wanna go back when neon was all the craze and synth tracks ruled the airwaves. Hairspray would kill us all. G-Shocks were at the mall and we could be yuppie scum. Yeah, it just seems like a simpler time, and I'm pretty sure my personality is now 99.9% nostalgia. So let's just go to the conclusion before it makes it to 100%. I never take joy in saying this, but I am not a big fan of this microphone. But first up, let's talk about the pros, because even though I don't like the microphone, there are some things that I do enjoy and appreciate about it. First one being the smart audio lock feature. I love that on any microphone, any interface, anything. With a limiter like that is absolutely invaluable. I love it, and it is implemented very well here. I also like the fact that they give you very basic top-level processing controls, but if you want to dive a little bit deeper, you can click into the menus and get a lot more granular. That is another really well-implemented feature. I think the mute button is pretty nice, a little bit noisy, but in the grand scheme of things, pretty respectable. I like the fact that it is 24-bit, 48 or 96 kilohertz, and I know some people will love the fact that it has USB-C. But then we get to the cons, and number one for me is the lack of a headphone port. I rely so heavily on that and zero latency monitoring because I want to be able to hear if I am putting a plosive into the microphone, if I'm clipping, or if I have mistakenly left on a vocal effect where I'm recording for 30 minutes and then I have to trash it, which I definitely did not do. I did. I also thought it did pretty bad with plosive rejection, also did really bad with shock rejection, especially on the provided desktop stand when it was sat on the desk. And the last con for me is the sound of this thing. I think out of the box without any EQ, it sounds kinda like a headset microphone, and at this price point, I don't think that's acceptable. It ought to sound significantly better than that. And now, what are my overall thoughts and opinions of the Logitech Yeti GX? As far as the overall sound, the bass leaves quite a bit to be desired. It seems pretty weak and anemic down there. You don't have much support. Then in the mids, it comes across congested, very mid-focused and mid-forward sounding. I don't find that appealing. And then the top end, it's not sibilant, but it still comes across a bit grainy and a bit artificial and cheap sounding. On the electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and singing vocals, I was not a fan of this microphone at all. I thought all of those applications needed a bit more support in the low end. Then the congested mids just didn't sound appealing on any of them. And on the electric guitar, the upper frequencies, you can really hear the graininess and cheapness. On the acoustic guitar, it just sounds dull. And for singing, the nasality, the congestion just dominates all of it. I didn't like it for any of those applications. And finally, for spoken word, I think it's a very similar story. There's not sufficient support in the bass frequencies. It comes across sounding weak. The mids, to my ears, came across a bit too congested. It sounded like I had a little bit of a cold. Maybe not this bad, but I wasn't a fan of it. And then the treble, at least it wasn't overly sibilant. But all around, it kind of sounded like a headset microphone. And as I mentioned, for $150, I don't think that's acceptable. And to wrap up, would I recommend the Logitech Yeti GX? I don't think that I can. As far as the overall sound, I preferred every other microphone that I compared it against. The Samson Q2u, the Yeti X, the Elgato Wave 3 Rode Podmic MV7, even the Audio Technica AT2040 USB, which I was none too favorable to. I still preferred that over the Logitech Yeti GX. Then as far as the feature set, that has also been matched by the competition. The Elgato Wave 3, very similar feature set, better sound, same price. Rode Podmic USB, better sound, similar feature set, $50 more. Shure MV7, better sound, similar feature set, $100 more. If you're stuck in the Logitech ecosystem, or you love the G-Hub software so you want a Logitech mic, Yeti X sounds infinitely better than the Yeti GX, but you get the same features, you get the same software. But to put some icing on the cake, the Yeti GX also lacks a headphone jack, which as I mentioned is instrumental for me. The Yeti X has one, the Q2u has one, Elgato Wave 3, Podmic USB, MV7, AT2040 USB. However, the U87 AI doesn't have a headphone jack. So I guess the Yeti GX is in good company. All right, that's all that I've got for you today. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, thumbs up. Hated it, thumbs down. I will have a video, my settings for the Yeti GX, coming very soon on this channel. So subscribe if you want to see how I EQ this. And that is it. I will talk to you in a week or so. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Whoa. Whoa. Boop.